This video is not about the Kodai Sonata, although I am super excited to announce that we're aiming for a January 1st release of my recording of the first movement of the Kodai, which was recorded with video as well as audio and a lot of angles to show the physical approach to the instrument. I'm really excited about it. But welcome to the first technical cello episode of Cello Monk. I'm so excited about this channel. I have so many ideas. I'm really excited to share with you guys. Today's video, though, is about the Borodin Quartet No. 2, the opening cello solo, and why it's so hard for cellists around the world. I chose to focus on this piece because I've come across it time and time again. It's a quartet that often is given high school students to work on, and it's sort of considered like a beginner's quartet. But actually, the cello mechanics of the opening solo are amongst the most awkward things ever written for the instrument. If I could boil it down to one real reason, it's that it rubs a certain physical truth in your face, and that truth is that where your hands are not always reflective of where your body in context has to be. So when you're wanting to play this, opening material here, your elbow feels really great here. But in fact, because you're always having to stay in motion, you're never really feeling balanced. And we have some really cool ways to illustrate this for you guys today so you can see it in a cello context, in a non-cello context. But first, let's check out the opening solo. All right, that was pretty good. We're going to rewind here, and I want you to watch my left elbow. See that green dot there? I'm going to play this now at half speed. And one of the things you'll notice is that the elbow really leads the motions both up and down the instrument. It's always ahead of the hand, as you'll see here especially. You'll also notice that it can sometimes cushion the landing by forming a circle, as we just saw right there. Even when you stay on the same top F sharp, it forms a little circle to absorb energy, just like you would if you were landing on your feet from a great height. Let's take another look here. It's good to remember, just because you're not playing an audible note, it doesn't mean your body's not moving. So you'll see that even before the bow touches the string, the elbow and the arm are in motion, which is going to give it much more fluidity than if you were just trying to start from a static hold. And here you get a better shot at the arm really leading. Even notice the shoulder leading even ahead of the elbow, right? The shoulder really pulls the arm back and pushes it up. Now you can see here the cushioning action we talked about earlier, where you're not actually really moving where the hand is on the instrument, but you are absorbing energy, that you have the arm in motion, and so you can absorb that with a cushioning circular motion. Now here, we're about to show not so good performance of the opening solo, and not to make fun of anyone or any of the stuff that I've heard, but this is kind of what you'll commonly hear when you hear a cellist struggling through this solo, and it's very hard. Again, it's very challenging. Keep an eye on that elbow, and what you'll notice is that the elbow really isn't ahead of schedule the way it needs to be, and it's also not really going to move properly. I'm going to try to play a few notes kind of not moving the elbow, but I'm also trying awkwardly to vibrate. You see that right here? Trying to vibrate, but I'm not balanced because I'm not allowing motion. And then here, going up and down the cello, it's just not ahead of schedule enough, so there's tension, and you're really pushing and pulling the arm up in a tense way. Here's a shot from behind, and essentially, this is just going to take a second, but I want you to notice the left scapula in particular, which is the left shoulder blade here, that it's going to lead the motions even more so than the elbow. And again, as we'll talk about many times on this channel, one of the golden rules is that motions really tend to start deep in the body and then move outwards. So as you'll see here, the same little solo, the shoulder blade really initiates a lot of those motions even before the elbow does. So we're going to change gears here and watch a terrible cooking demonstration by yours truly. But as you can see here, if you have time to go between two cooking stations, you can just stay on your 2 feet, very vertical, organized, it's no problem. But what if you have to go between things quite quickly and quite often? That causes problems physically, right? So here you can see that there are a couple bad options, bad ways to do this. One is you could try to stand in the middle and do everything from an imbalanced place. It's very awkward. You can't really get a good look at what you're doing, and disaster may strike. And of course, we've seen this before. That's analogous to that, right? Not allowing your body to move properly. Another weird option is to try to keep your body vertical, as if you were standing in both places, right? But then to get between them is really profoundly awkward, as you see here. I actually kind of had fun trying to do that. But that's what this is, right? You're not fluidly moving between. This is kind of a funny one you almost never see, but leading a motion, again, from the smallest body parts is almost never a good idea. And it's very awkward. So really the only solution, as you'll see here, and I'll do it a little bit slower, is that the bigger masses of the body have to move first. And as you can see, even while I'm starting to move my legs and my hips, I'm still working on what I'm cooking, quote unquote. So there you have it. You have the basics of why this opening solo is so awkward, and hopefully some ways to fix it. Essentially, it comes down to one of the 3 golden rules of movement, as I call them. And I'm sure I'll do a whole video on just the 3 golden rules. But essentially, this rule is that when a motion involves multiple body parts, the largest body parts, which coincidentally are usually closest to your spine, to your real core, they move first, and then the movement is transmitted outward. So when it comes to shifting, what that means is you'd never shift with your hand first. If you see this, or like you're pushing your hand up or pulling down like this, something's wrong. What you want to have is a motion that begins deep in your body and then is transmitted outward. And we see this is natural in all sports movements, in dance as well, that starting with the bigger musculature and then expressing that outward is more natural. I hope that helps, and as a way to practice that too, I mean, you can always go very, very slowly and just make sure that you're guiding everything leading from your shoulder blade if you're working on shifting. So really hope you enjoyed today's video. We have so much more cool stuff to talk about, and if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for all the cool stuff we have in store.